Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that because we are running out of time here. Senators, Senate Bill 1150 is a bill about the circulation of petitions for initiatives and referendums. And no petition for an initiative or a referendum may be circulated outside the state of Idaho, and all petition signers must be physically located in the state of Idaho at the time of signing. This legislation simply states that signatures on an Idaho petition must be gathered in the state of Idaho. It also notes that the person who is gathering the signatures must be a registered voter in the state of Idaho. The petition also must be notarized in the state of Idaho. The question has been asked, what if a person's in the military or working out of state who wants to sign a petition? At any time during that 18-month period of time, when a person is in the state, they can contact the group promoting the initiative or referendum and ask for a petition. They can find that information about those referendums or initiatives on the internet. They're very, very easy to find. The person can sign the document at their homes, have it notarized, and return it by mail back to those collecting the signatures, or just return it in person. The information for the initiative, I've already said that, can be found on the internet. And please remember that the group organizing the petition drive has 18 months to gather the needed signatures in each district, and that an individual can request a petition of their own. And Senator, this does not increase or decrease the ability to gather signatures. It just states that for an Idaho initiative or referendum, it must be signed in the state of Idaho, and the person collecting the signatures must be a registered voter in the state of Idaho. And with that,
thank you, Madam Chair.
For questions.
Senator Stennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Madam Chair. And
Yes.
what she had mentioned is something I brought to her attention. So I did go talk to some the Attorney General and some of the parliamentarians about this bill, about who it would exclude. And I was told that servicemen and women, let's say that there is a bill that will impact the military in some capacity that's an initiative, and they do want to weigh in on it. They are not physically in Idaho. And they're not likely to be back in 18 months, depending on their tour of duty. They will not have the ability to participate in the initiative process. It was also brought to my attention that there are businesses that are Idaho-based businesses, but whose employees are off on oil rigs or someplace else, that they don't actually physically spend a lot of their time on in Idaho, but they are Idaho citizens and they are registered to vote in Idaho. They just aren't physically standing in Idaho. And if there was something that had to do with their business that would impact their ability to operate as they see fit, and there is an initiative about that, those folks would not be able to participate in the initiative process. I understand probably the reason for this bill to come up, because we want certain things not to go on the ballot, and we don't want to skew it by asking people who are not standing in Idaho to be able to sign on to that ballot, even if they are registered voters and have the right as registered voters in our law to be able to do that. But I think this unfortunately marginalizes sections of our electorate, and I won't be supporting the bill.
And I think I'm going to exercise the indulgence of the committee and go to testimony, and then we can have discussion at some point later, because we want to make sure and get that in as our time is somewhat limited. So I'm going to call Greg Pruitt up. You don't need to testify. Okay, how about Joe Evans? Welcome to committee. Please introduce yourself, and the time's yours.
Thank you, Chairman. Joe Evans. I'm an active advocate for marijuana reform here in the state of Idaho and a number of other issues. We worked with Reclaim Idaho, Idaho Citizens Coalition, and a couple other organizations. I don't support this particular ruling bill because, let's face it, it's a one-shot deal. It's entirely targeted against the recent development of marijuana industry across the border. Ontario sold $100 million in marijuana products to Idaho residents last year, roughly 40,000 residents of the Treasure Valley. Now, if we were to collect signatures across the border, we would be able to qualify approximately 15 of the districts here in the state if people were willing to sign a piece of paper putting their name and address while in the process of committing a federal felony of purchasing a controlled substance to traffic back across state lines. If you're really interested in fixing that particular problem, the police officers are more than capable of managing the situation and preventing those people from being able to retain their voting rights upon crossing back after their purchases. The truth is marijuana has been decriminalized in the state of Idaho for, well, quite a long time right now because we don't have enough prison cells to hold 40,000 residents of the Treasure Valley for committing federal felonies. It's time we admit that, and it's time we move on. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any questions. Next, William Espinoza. I'm sorry, the penmanship is much like mine and a little hard to, so please introduce and correct me.
No worries. I've had that my whole life. It's Esbenson.
It's been,
Yeah. And I just want to, reiterate what Joe just said is that every week I've been here for the last 5 weeks to speak against some kind of cornball legislation that's being thrown up against marijuana users, medical marijuana users.
maybe we could try to just speak to the bill. It would
Oh,
be
okay.
helpful.
So I oppose the bill because several reasons, and Senator Stennett nailed most of them. But it seems to me, and this is my observation, is that a majority of this body of lawmakers is complicit in a conspiracy to not allow medical marijuana in the state of Idaho. Every week this session.
And again, if we could speak to the bill, the merits of the bill, and please confine your remarks to that.
Okay. So every week this session, there's been a bill, including this one, that is against medical marijuana in the state of Idaho.
This is talking about signature gathering, so please limit to
Exactly.
that.
So I've been involved gathering signatures for medical marijuana, chief petitioner, all types of positions for 11 years. And not once have I seen this legislative body just do this on every week that they could and not really pass any legislation that affects Idaho. Thanks.
Thank you. Going to go virtually. John Basabi, is he still with us? Good morning. I think you might be muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can. Introduce yourself. The time's yours. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is John Basabi. I'm a constituent of District 11. I believe that Idahoans have the right to vote yes and no on proposed legislation. And that's why I am speaking to you today. I am both for and against this bill. Last year, we were gathering signatures for the Idaho Medical Marijuana Act in 2020. And before we received our cease and desist orders in March of 2020, we were advised that we could not collect signatures from Idahoans residing in Oregon or Washington. This is a very rare occurrence that we observed. However, it conflicts with the previous direction that we received from the Idaho Secretary of State's office in 2020. And my question is, does this bill imply that we were given incorrect information? We are already under the assumption that Idahoans living out of state can vote, but cannot sign initiatives out of state. I'd like to yield my time to the chair for your opinion on that matter.
And Madam Chair, you're welcome to respond if you'd like.
This bill is about gathering signatures. It has nothing to do with the issue that Mr. Basabi is speaking about. It's to make sure that signatures are gathered for initiatives and referendums within the state of Idaho, because they are referendums and initiatives that affect the people who are living in the state of Idaho.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Could I request some additional time
You
for
can have
some
just a little more-
observations I made from your meeting today.
What, you can have another little bit.
A correlation I made, it was in regards to the legislation proposed for educational concealed and carry laws and open carry laws. Teachers really have the rights to open carry in the
This
state
is
of Idaho.
not the bill we're on, sir.
What if that bill was a citizens initiative? You know, Oregon requires separate concealed carry laws because they don't correlate with Idaho concealed carry laws. For residents who live in Idaho, work out of state in Ontario or wherever else in Oregon, how would they apply?
Thank you for being with us this morning virtually. Appreciate it. Russ Belville. Please introduce yourself and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, esteemed senators. My name is Russ Belville. I'm a spokesperson for the Idaho Citizens Coalition, and I represent the over 200,000 Idahoans who use marijuana. Here we are once again as the Senate attempts to blow up constitutional petitioning rights just to stop us from putting a medical marijuana initiative on the ballot that 3 out of 4 Idahoans support. First, it was Senator Groh with his proposal to put prohibition in the state constitution.
Could
so
we
no
just
citizen
talk
initiative
to
could
Senate
touch
Bill
it.
1150, please?
So we are speaking about Senate Bill 1150, which is a transparently obvious attempt to preemptively stop us from collecting signatures from the thousands of Idahoans who visit 8 legal marijuana shops in Ontario, Oregon every day, spending $8.2 million per month and gifting that tiny town of 11,000 people with $250,000 in tax revenue every month. At this point, we're just waiting for a bill that bans initiative petitions from using the letter M. Because if you don't think this bill is about stopping marijuana, then what problem is it solving? Under Idaho law, someone who's collecting signatures for a petition has to be an Idaho resident. Someone who's signing that petition must be a registered Idaho voter and therefore an Idaho resident. The petition must be notarized within the state of Idaho by a notary public who is licensed by the state of Idaho. The signature verification of the Idaho voter's signature is validated by an Idaho county clerk against an Idaho database. Where those Idahoans are standing when they sign shouldn't factor into it. A person's constitutional right to propose and pass laws as guaranteed in Article 3, Section 1 shouldn't be dependent on whether there's Idaho soil underneath their feet. There haven't been any allegations we're aware of so far concerning fraudulent out-of-state initiative signatures. As far as we know, everyone who signed our petitions and the ones that came before us were all Idaho residents, because if they weren't, their signatures would be kicked off by the county clerks. All this bill will succeed in accomplishing is further restricting initiative petition rights of Idaho college students who might be studying abroad, Idaho service members who might be deployed overseas, and Idaho business workers who may have extended work out of state. And the idea that, oh, they've got 18 months to buy a plane ticket and fly back and take time off of work isn't going to work for a poor college student studying abroad, might not work for the service member who can't get out of his commitment, and might not work for the business person who's got the extended contract. This is especially egregious when we talk about the power to propose and pass laws. For passing laws, we don't have to be in Idaho. We can do that through absentee ballot. So clearly we recognize the right of passing those laws doesn't depend on Idaho soil. Why should proposing those laws depend on being on Idaho soil? I urge you to reject this bill and to stop attacking the citizen initiative petition rights just because you don't like marijuana. Thank you, and I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, sir. I don't see any, and I don't have anyone else. So, Madam Chair, would you like to close?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It was not my intention at all in bringing this bill for the folks that asked me to bring it. It wasn't any intention to hurt anybody or to stop any petition from being signed. College students usually come back in an 18-month period of time. The oil rig people, the ones I know, fly in and out of the state be here 2 weeks, away 2 weeks. The 18-month period of time is a long period of time for people to gather signatures. And if someone is working, let's say in Saudi Arabia, I don't know how you might get those signatures gathered and brought back to Idaho to have notarized by an Idaho registered notary. This intention is to keep this as an Idaho process, and I wasn't even thinking about it when the people brought it, that it might be levied towards any certain group of people. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Burgoyne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can tell you, as having grown up in a military family, my parents would have found getting back at times to their home of residence, legal residence, in 18 months impossible. I think at a minimum, if this bill is going to go forward, it needs to be amended with respect to our military. I actually think it's a bridge too far, and I actually think we're going to have a hard time enforcing it with respect to the military. I think we're going to be in court over it. Mr. Chairman, I move that we send Senate Bill 1150 to the floor with the recommendation that it go to the 14th order for possible amendment.
Motion dies for lack of a second. Senator Harris.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to send Senate Bill 1150 to the floor with a due pass recommendation.
Moved by Senator Harris, second by Senator Lee, that Senate Bill 1150 be sent to the floor with a due pass recommendation. Is there further discussion on the motion? Senator Winder.
Just quickly, I don't think this bill prevents anyone from maintaining their voting rights. They have the ability to, whether they're here in the state or not, to vote on the issue when if it is on the ballot. This is just dealing with the integrity of the petitioning process, and I think it's an important piece. Thank you.
Further discussion? Don't see any. We do have a motion and a second that Senate Bill 1150 be sent to the floor with a due pass. Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Senator Burgoyne and Senator Stennett, would you like to be recorded? You will be. Motion carries, and I will pass the gavel back to Madam Chair.